Good morning, everyone. It's about 8:30 this morning. We're out here on the S line in Bushnell, Florida. If I were to pan the camera 180 degrees, you would see a green signal on the south end Bushnell signals for some type of southbound. I'm pretty sure it's an L743, but whatever it is, I just heard it call Lake Panasoffkee, so it's got to be pretty close at this point. This morning is all about just seeing what we can get on the S line in this portion. Might chase this train south if it's got anything of interest or the only thing running. But yeah, I guess we'll see what we can get. Our train in question this morning would be M441, although it didn't look like him. He'd have over 40 auto racks heading south today with none of his usual Tropicana or rock cars. At first this looked like an M455, and with the radio staying quiet even as the train passed, my suspicions looked even more probable. That was until I heard it an hour later clearing Valrico. It was indeed 441, once again being a morning run, coming south through downtown Bushnell just as the sun peeked over the trees. 2 AC-44s would power this train, with over 8,000 feet in trail. That mile and a half of freight is built up in Waycross, the location of CSX's Thomas Rice Yard, where this train originates, every day or night now. It's made up of a bunch of trains, like rock being from somewhere in Georgia, Tropicana cars from Cincinnati in the New England area, and auto racks from Kentucky. Trains from all over the country are sorted into hundreds of manifests that come out of Waycross daily, including 2 of the trains that we'll see today. It would take us a solid 5 minutes to notice that there was some kind of event happening today in downtown. And after a quick search on Google, we found out that today's festivities would consist of Bushnell's world-famous Fall Festival. Apparently, it's an event that hundreds of locals and tourists attend annually, so much so that the town shuts down Main Street, known as US 301, to make room for their parade and floats. We had a plan to chase the next train south, and if 301 was closed, we'd be trapped in Bushnell's fall frenzy, so we made a beeline down the S line, down to the Rodell double track. I filmed a handful of trains at St. Catherine before, which is the north end of this double track, but I've never checked out the crossovers that this stretch of track is known for, Rodell. The quarter-mile drive down Gresham Road would lead us to the crossovers and the peace and quiet of railroad tracks next to farmland, in this case, cattle farms. 301's traffic would be light this morning, so not even the sound of cars could dampen the loud silence of this cool autumn morning. Gresham Road is the road that rail fans know as the Path to Rodell. Located at milepost S783.4, Rodell is 2 crossovers located in the middle of a 4-mile double track capable of diverging any northbound or southbound train from track 1 to track 2, or vice versa. Said crossovers were added when the double track was completed in 2013 after CSX's sale of the Kissimmee to DeBary section of the A line to Sunrail that operates that section as a commuter rail line known as the Central Florida Rail Corridor, or CFRC. Rodell is one of the only spots that's hospitable to rail fans, as the north end of the double track known as St. Catherine requires one to pull off on the grassy embankment of US 301, and the south end, called Ridge Manor, is somewhere off in the woods, making Gresham Road the only accessible crossing within the double track, save for a couple of private unpaved crossings. As much as I enjoyed sitting in Rodell, it had been over an hour, and still no sign of any action, so we began the drive south towards Vitus, and no sooner had we left, I got a text from a friend in Wildwood saying that southbound train M453 was clearing Moreland Park at track speed, signifying that he would have no work today in Wildwood. Well, we've abandoned our post at Rodell. Nothing was happening there. Well, now something will be. 453 is going through Wildwood. We thought he had to work Wildwood today, but you kind of never know. We just left Rodell about a little less than 10 minutes ago, and instead of turning back, we're going to go to Lacucci to set up for this 453. I think that's kind of it for the morning, but yeah, going through Wildwood now and should have like Dash 8 trailing or something like that. See if we can get him at South and Lacucci. Pulling in, it only takes about 10 minutes for the south end Lakuchi signals to upgrade to a high green in preparation for 453. Located 8 miles north of Dade City is the small settlement of Lakuchi, another laid-back Florida development. Lakuchi houses just under 1,700 residents, with the main street consisting of a post office, a gas station, and a few churches. The town was created almost completely from the massive Cummer Brothers sawmill, which used to be situated near the north end of the siding. The mill closed decades ago, but similar to all small towns along the S-Line, the railroad remained, and today in October of 2022, the Seaboard is still hosting trains like this M453, a manifest from Waycross to Miami that's been running daily since the days of the Seaboard Airline. This morning's M453 would be massive, with 13,000 feet of mixed freight and trail behind 2 GE motors. In the second position would be CSX C40-8W number 7878, a locomotive that's a welcome sight for any rail fan in 2022, as in 6 months from now, this engine will turn 30 years old.
CFX detector, milepost 825.9. Defect. Repeat, no defect. Total axle 776. Detector out.
453 would tug his train down the hill and into Dade City, and we'd follow in close pursuit. By the time we reached Ellerslie, we had caught up to the head end. So from there, we'd book it to Vitus, where the limited clear signal on track 1 and 453's approaching headlight gave us about 30 seconds to set up.
Clear Vitus Junction. 1 to main, 216, 3137 southbound.
A pan to the left would reveal 453 rolling down the Yeoman sub, which surprised me. This train usually takes the Vitus sub, which in this view looking south, is the 2 diverging tracks to the left. It would take me a minute to realize why they did this, but as soon as I did understand the situation, we left Vitus for a different shot. Looking north, the Track 2 signal mast at the control point of Ellerslie would display a limited clear aspect, red over flashing green over red in this scenario. This would confirm my suspicions of a northbound train on the Vitus sub. I believe the dispatcher lined 453 down the Yeoman sub as to avoid making this 13,000-foot beast stop in the Vitus double track. Our northbound train was already past Stokes, and other than having both trains slow down significantly to let the northbound into the siding at Lumberton, a meet would be impossible. Those of you that say Florida is flat will probably notice something about the S-Line here at Ellerslie. Here at the north end of the Vitus double track begins a 2-mile climb into Dade City, where the track evens out for a second before climbing again within the Dade City siding. Trains here are constantly thrown into Notch 8 to get their train up the hill, which made this spot even more appealing for our northbound. But although I thought Ellerslie was a great spot, it felt a little too closed in to set up on the sunlit side as our train approached. So we moved down to the Richland Curve, where I've been wanting to film a northbound in daylight for quite a while. By now I knew our northbound train was L729, a new unit train creation put into service in early summer this year, designed to transport empty rock hoppers from Winston to Brown Sand, Georgia, working Wildwood, Baldwin, and Waycross along the way. However, CSX is back to doing what CSX does, and every day now, L729 looks more and more like the old Q604, which used to be northbound phosphate, sulfur empties, and mixed freight from Winston to Waycross. If y'all don't remember, that train would usually be passing this area around 11 p.m. to midnight, which for me was always too late. But so much for the recollection of abolished trains. L729 would be turning the corner at Vitus and calling each signal on its way north. So just after 12 o'clock, L729 would round the bend at Richland with 8,000 feet of train in tow.
CSX 2915 leading CSX 5468, approach limited, Richland track 2 northbound.
7:29 would end our eventful S-Line morning and our rail fanning for today. Thank you to each and every one of you viewers for watching, and I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope to do more days like this, just going out to see spots that I've never been to and catching whatever train CSX sends us. But until we meet again trackside, this is Christian from Multicolor Films. End of transmission.